Welcome back. We're on Equal Time Soccer once again. I'm Mark Privratsky here, joined to do a little bit of NSIC talk. We have a senior captain from UMD, Anna Tobias, joining us. Later, Matt is going to join us so we can talk a little bit about Maddie Darlene in the knockout rounds of the U20 World Cup. Our Minnesotan we've been watching, she scored again, spoiler alert. A little bit of Gophers, little St. Thomas, and we'll see what else we have time for. But Anna, we're going to start with with I think the best anecdote of your soccer career, a record you probably wouldn't even really think about. I think you even said that when you got it. But for people who didn't see last year, and the good context of this as well is weeks before, your teammate had scored like the two fastest goals in a row, Jackie Jers, and we had interviewed her. And then like a week or two later, Anna said, "Hold my Gatorade," and scored a hat trick in 68 seconds. Talk about what you remember, because so it was a 5-0 win, not crazy to have a hat trick, but it wasn't, it was against Crookston. It wasn't some game that was 12, where there were just goals and goals all game. Talk about what you remember when you think back on that day.
Oh yeah, that's funny. Jackie did actually, I think it was about a week before, had that record, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Hated to steal her thunder there, but we've always had a fun, competitive, super friendly relationship. So that was great. I was proud of her. She was proud of me. That was awesome. But as for the game, so I remember it was Crookston. You never know how that game's gonna go. We've played there and struggled, to get some goals. And we were at home this year, and it was 0-0 at half. We had most of the possession. I know we were just drilling it down their throats, trying to score. And we were missing that final piece. I think we had one goal that was called off sides. Their goalie was making some insane saves. We were just missing the net. And so at halftime, we were like, all right, we got to focus in here. And I remember my coach, Greg, he was like, all right, we're moving you from the outside forward to center forward. We just got to get the goals going. Floodgates. We got to see you do something. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. And so we get out there. I think it was a few minutes into the half, and scored a goal. Morgan crossed it in, set me up super nice. I mean, if I missed that goal, I was maybe 4 feet from the net. It would have been bad if I missed. So that happened. I was like, great. Now we're on the board. Let's get it rolling. And then I guess it was only a few seconds later when another teammate, Lauren Hansen, she played me a long ball, and I ran onto it, finished. I was, wow, that's another goal. That's awesome. Let's get it going. I didn't think it was only a few seconds. I thought it was maybe a few minutes. Yeah. And then same thing happened. Another teammate played me through. I dribbled and shot and scored. And I was like, that was probably the fastest goals I've scored. I wasn't thinking about a record or anything.
Yeah.
I was just focused on winning. And so I was like, thank God. Now 3-0, hopefully we can, relax a little. And that's all I remember. Nothing came to my mind until after the game when people were talking about some sort of record, and I was like, cool. But they thought I was like number 2 in the record book. They thought I just missed it. And I was like, hey, I still like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
About an hour later, I got a call from the coach, and he was like, yeah, I guess officially you have the record. And I was like, wow.
I wonder how they check it so fast. But yeah, I mean, and it is cool. I think I did see in one image, like you did get a plaque for it. Like it's like something you get to have. Cool to have stuff like that when you're, when you're someday done playing. You described it. I just watched the hat trick, because UMD is one of the programs that does pretty good highlights of their games a lot of the time for people who want to watch highlights. We'll repost them a lot. But yeah, cleaned up a ball that like went in through, and you were like at the 6-yard line. Then it was a really nice ball over the top where you ran through behind the defenders. And then the fourth one was like a turnover, but it was when you were in that 9th spot. So, I mean, shout out to, I guess, Coach Kane knows something about making halftime adjustments, because it looks like that was the move.
Yep, he knew what he was doing, I guess. So there you go.
I mean, so now back down to earth, because you had a somewhat tough, although a really challenging schedule to start non-conference play. You play these teams a lot. You play Michigan Tech, you play Northern Michigan, both teams that were in the tournament last year, really successful teams. So you had a tougher opener, 1-6 with Northern Michigan, who they won a bit more last year. But then you come back a lot tougher, close, gritty loss to Michigan Tech, 0-1 at home. what do you take away from those? The cliche of course, like, you just have to take the positives into the next round. But, were there things, you spotted in your own game or in the setup and what you need to do to lead the squad of how you adjust to NSIC play now?
Yeah. So both those teams, always very good competition. We played them all 4 of my years here. Northern Michigan is always, top team. I think that's one of the best teams I've played in my whole college career. Like that team specifically, they didn't mess up and they capitalized on all of our mistakes as well. And it's early in the season. We have a lot of new players. We're still adjusting, figuring it out. We lost a player early on to an injury that kind of shook some of us up. And we just weren't able to recover. We did play better in the second half. I think it was more of just a wake-up call, I guess, for our team. And as bad as it was, at least we figured it out early in the season. And we had another chance to redeem ourselves 2 days later with Michigan Tech. And I have a good friend who plays for Michigan Tech, Grace Hepner, and we were actually talking about after the game. I was like, I love playing your team always. It's always been within about a goal or so. We've won, we've tied, they've won. So I think we're just very level, equally matched teams. And it's anyone's game anytime we play. Unfortunately, we weren't able to put that one away. They had a good goal that we couldn't come back from it either. But I was really proud of my team coming from that hard loss on Thursday, just turning it around and, having that resilience. I think we worked really hard. We still have so much to work on. But I think we improved a lot in those 2 days.
I mean, so you said you like having the tough matchups. I was kind of wondering because certain of the NSIC teams really always have some really tough regional matchups. Like, of course, Minnesota State does it a lot, but Mid-U State will rotate kind of playing those Michigan schools too. But some of the other teams, the conference is really tough. So they actually try to start out with maybe some easier games. Maybe they play like a D3 school. Maybe they play a lesser opponent. Is there ever a year where you were like, gosh, I wish we maybe could have just gotten momentum from getting people going early?
Yeah. So we do tend to scrimmage early on in preseason, some D3 teams. Scholastica, they're our neighboring school here. We scrimmage them. And so that was nice. But I mean, I think I'd rather start off with the super hard teams and then, build instead of, feeling good and a little overly comfortable if you play maybe some of those lesser quality teams. And going into the NSIC, it could be a big shock, a big wake-up call. I think Northern Michigan, especially, I don't think we'll have a harder game than that. It was our first game. They're a really great team. So it would be nice to gain some confidence with some of these lesser quality teams, but I think I would actually prefer playing the harder teams first, just to improve as fast as
you really do have to find where there are just moments, because you can have a shock result or like at least a tough game against the bottom of the teams in the Northern Sun, but teams have to find and hope, I feel like, each year that they get a stretch where they can get a little run like that. Like I looked at your schedule and I kind of saw that like you have a stretch at one point where you play Augustana and you play BSU, but then you have a stretch of teams who finished maybe out of the tournament. So, you hope that then you can work on squad depth and do, figure some things out. You also know you can't ever really rest on anything. So you're looking to this year. One of the cool things about UMD as a program, like some of the other programs we follow, you get local TV, so it makes it fun for us because we can actually, you get a little context of it. But you were on there as one of the senior captains talking about its ring season, not only for you, but for the college too, I guess probably for like all the fall sports. Did that come from you? Did it come from the coach, like Greg, as a tone setting? Where did that come from?
Yeah. So over the summer, I met with Coach Kane just to kind of, prepare for this upcoming season. And one question I remember him asking me was, so you have a theme or a motto for this season? And I was like, I don't know. I wasn't really prepared for that question. And so I started thinking, I was like, it would be nice to get some bling. And me and my friends have been talking about, ring season. So I was like, why not? Why not shoot for the stars? You might not think, a number 8 team in the league is going to win a ring. But I think the NSIC, it's anyone's game, whoever shows up and works harder. So why not have a goal like that? I know we didn't start off great, but I mean, it doesn't get in the way of our ring season.
Right.
So we actually, our first day of preseason, me and some other seniors got a big bag of ring pops and wrote notes on those and said, ring season, let's go, just to get everyone in the mindset. And we gave one to all the other fall coaches as well, just to kind of build like a little sense of community, let them know that we're supporting them too. We brought it to other sports. Hopefully they're sharing the same goal as well. We want to see all of our teams win. So.
Very cool. It's why not have the goal? I mean, especially I'm going to ask too. I mean, you're the captain, right? I mean, you've been a leader, I'm sure, in different ways already, but why not be ambitious as a leader to say because also, to a certain extent, I'm sure the way people think about like sports psychology and mental processing and kind of visioning, if you don't ever say that, that you believe it, probably coaches, you're not going to do it, right? You're not going to see the path forward. So, good on you. I love the swagger. Watch out. And also, I mean, if you looked at last year's NSIC tournament, I mean, there were upsets abound. Like Mary made it to the final. Concordia upsetting Minnesota State, right? So, I mean, there were anything can happen. It's just you have to get it together at the right time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So asking about, I mean, so your role as a captain, clearly one is to hype up, but I wonder, how do you think of your role as a captain? What do you think your job is? And not just like as a captain, but on this team, what they need from you. How do you think through that? Like you said, talking with the coach ahead of the season, and then who are some other seniors? Like, it's Baumlack Haugen is one of the other standouts who's playing a bit more defensively than you do, but talk about other people who are going to be a part of maybe helping you lead the squad this year.
Yeah, for sure. So with me, we have a little leadership task force group, we like to call it. So it's the other seniors. So that's, like you said, Baumlack Haugen, Tori Thorson, she's a 5th year, Morgan Eckerly, she's a senior. She has a redshirt year, so technically redshirt junior. And then Aisley Allen, she's a 5th year. She actually transferred from Idaho State. So she's kind of joining us in that leadership as well. So it is kind of a collective thing. I guess I got the title of the captain, but I think all of us are there as leaders. And I think everyone looks at us as leaders. But yeah, with this team specifically and just preparation and everything, we have, like I said, a lot of new players, a lot of freshmen, some transfers. So I guess one thing that me and my coach and the other seniors really talked about was we need to build that relationship not only on the field but off the field. You play better when you're confident in yourself and in each other. So we spent a lot of time over the summer. We had senior leadership groups where we met just via FaceTime every other week to check in, see if anyone has questions, get the freshmen comfortable, the other transfers comfortable. So yeah, that was a main focus, is just, getting that chemistry, blending the team a little bit with as many new players as we have. I think it's the most we've had in a long time. So as a leader on the team, it's really important to just keep that dynamic, the positivity. And I think so far it's been really good. Day one, right off the bat, the energy, enthusiasm, even during the fitness test, that was terrible. Everyone was so positive. And then since, I think everyone's been so great. And I think this is one of the closest teams we've had in a while. So it's really exciting to see.
How are you with the fitness test, Anna?
Yeah, it was better than I thought it'd go. I was able to get the highest level, so that was good. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. My main goal, so our assistant coach, Sydney Burrell, she said that over the summer she ran it and got 12.2. So my main goal was to run it and beat 12.2.
Well, you got to beat the coach, Anna. Come on. I mean, yeah.
And so I got to 12.9, and yeah, I maybe thought I was going to puke afterwards, but I was proud. And then we went on to have 4 or 5 hours more of soccer practice after that. But I was happy with how it went, and I think the team overall did really well. So
where are you in the rank of fastest players on the Bulldogs?
We have a lot of speed. Morgan Eckerly has a lot of speed on the outside. Jess as well. I think I'd like to say I'm top 3, top 4. Who else is really fast? She's fast. We just have a lot of fast players. Baumlock's fast in the back there. It would be interesting if we did like a race and just see who wins, who gets that.
Well, the beep test, it'd be like the beep test, and then I mean, probably just a full field sprint, and then I mean, also people would probably want to know who's the fastest for like 15 yard or what, you know, but yeah.
There is different types of fast. I guess beep test is a lot of endurance, and then there's like the short sprints, the long sprints. We got people in every area to cover those, but I'd like to think I'm top 5.
All right. Right on. Hey, I saw the one running behind to score last year. So yeah. But yeah, focus now fully on NSIC. You got Northern State coming up this weekend, Sunday at 1 p.m. And like we tell people all the time, it's really easy to watch these games. You can rewind it. You can have a separate window on the side. Like it's just a very usable platform. So super easy to pop in and just like see what's going on. If you're ever like just curious what games are going on, you can go to the NSIC website and there's on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know, a lot of the time something's going on. But so planning for Northern State, one, I wanted to ask you this. I mean, what is the worst road trip? Because that's one of the longest ones. Yeah. It's over 6 hours, right?
Yeah, that one's 6 hours, but surprisingly, it's not the longest. We have Wayne, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Which I think that might be tied with Minot. I think it's close to 8 hours. I never really know because I'm like,
well, it's once you get over 4 or 5.
Yeah. I just go where the bus takes me. Don't really even know what time it is. I'm like, we'll show up. But yeah, Aberdeen, I don't know. I have lots of family from Aberdeen in South Dakota. So
interesting.
To me is a little more interesting because I see all the small towns I recognize.
Yeah.
But then when I go to Wayne, I'm like, where am I? I look at a map, I'm just right in the center of the country.
Yeah.
Same with Minot. They're far, but at least Bismarck is close to play both those teams. But it's fun. I don't hate road trips because it's just you and all your teammates hanging out. So
what do you do on the bus when it's like that long?
When it's that long, I feel like it goes in phases. So right off the bat, it's like an hour of people chatting. And then maybe after an hour, people try and sleep, maybe do some homework. And then after that, it's like people chat again. It's like every other hour. It's like we're playing games, but then we have to lock in homework and then we're chatting again. So I think it kind of goes in waves, but I don't know. I don't typically sleep on moving vehicles. So I just listen to music, do my homework if I have any, read my book, annoy my teammates, that sort of stuff.
It's tough if you can't sleep at all. There were some players I really got a kick out of talking about their strategy of how they sleep. They use things that people get for dogs to like get between the seat and I never heard of it in the way they were describing it. I was like, a dog backpack? What? Yep. I didn't know. So, but hey, you got to find your way when you have a 9-hour trip.
Yeah, some people sleep on the floor in the middle of the aisle. So like, if you go to the bathroom, you have to like climb and hop and
don't want any injuries. Yeah.
But
yeah, thinking about, I mean, so starting in the NSIC, like you alluded to with non-conference games, it's great to be tested. Really, all that matters is the bulk of your season is the conference. You have to get in the tournament and then do your work in the tournament. So really, this is what matters. It's nice to have the test earlier. But so when talking about, you said ring season, do the coaches come to you with also like their sense of goals? Because I'm sure, you know, like they listen to you, but also I'm sure Coach Kane has his own. How specific are they in saying this is the goal for the team this year? Is it making the tournament and go from there, or is it more granular than that?
Yeah, so a lot of it is on us. I know Greg is like, you know, I'm going to lead you as much as I can, but if it's not in you guys wanting it yourselves, we're not going to get very far. So a lot of it is on us, what we want, where we think we can make it to. And then we kind of share those goals with him, and then he'll change what he says to kind of match those goals. So like before a game, he'll say, you know, this is what we have to do in order to achieve these goals that you told us that you want. So a lot of it is driven by us. He wants to hear what we want and what we think we can do. But yeah, so yeah, I guess when it comes to that, they let us take the lead in a lot of it.
Right. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, so is he someone you describe like he's a player's coach? Is that what you'd say? Like he sounds like, I mean, the leadership council is something that's really common. I think it's really cool. Definitely that didn't exist, you know, in youth sports. I never got to some high level of sports, but I think that is kind of new that it's formally empowering players and also not just one senior or two seniors. So I don't think that's super rare, but the way you're talking about, collective goal setting is interesting. How would you describe, Greg's been the coach for 3 decades, not to age you, Greg, but it's a high compliment. You're the longest running D2 coach, the first ever in Minnesota, I believe, through a couple conferences, overall a winning coach. But there were also some tougher years just before you got here. That was kind of one of the downturns. And now on this come up. So I'm sure part of it is him being able to keep a staff and keep himself engaged in a way to regrow a squad into winning. How do you assess like their job in the time you've been there, building the Bulldogs back into the tournament?
Yeah. So it's funny you say that. So yeah, we did struggle early on. It was my freshman year. That was probably our toughest year as a freshman. There's not always a lot I can do. But it was hard at first coming into that. And then I know each year that I've been here, luckily enough, the team's been able to increase how far we've made it. So sophomore year was better. Last year was the best so far, making it to the tournament. And I guess it kind of, Greg will reiterate, like we made it here last year. Let's try and make it even further. But yeah, when it comes to the coaching staff, so Kelly Gerges Wheeler, she's been, she was the assistant before Sydney Burrell. She had been there for a very long time. I was lucky to have her for 2 years. But yeah, and then we had that coaching staff change with Sydney coming in last year, and then also adding a goalie coach, Ginger, and then Aaron this year. So we've had some new coaches, which I think, brings in some good new ideas, new energy. They're also pretty young, so they have some of maybe those fresher, younger ideas. So I think it kind of like balances out Greg's like long knowledge of the game with some new fresh ideas. And I think it really helps to have both sides of that.
Yeah, I would guess that helps Greg as well. Yeah, like also he can empower them to be like, I want you to get a chance to do this and get another job, because he knows he's where he wants to be. And also like that helps you stay in the job if you don't have to be grinding so hard, because I know he does other coaching too. And yeah,
he does it all.
Yeah. So, and yeah, that was, I was going to ask you too, because there are relatively newer coaches. One of them is Aaron Blanchard, right? Who was your coach this summer in UPSL. I don't know why I had this thought. Did you get asked? Did they ask? Was it decided before UPSL started, or did he ask the players who then like had familiarity with him? Well, just for insight, not like is it okay? Obviously.
Well, I didn't know really that they were thinking about bringing him on until very close to when he actually did join the staff. I remember before the summer season started, I'd met with Greg and he was talking about, oh, Aaron Blanchard's the coach. He's a really great guy, really great coach, all that. And I was like, cool. And I remember I met with them another time in the summer, and Greg they were asking like, oh, how's the coach? How are you liking it? And I was like, great, all that. And I didn't even think about, maybe they're asking because they're planning on bringing him to the staff. So I really had no idea up until it was pretty much officially announced. So it was super cool. It was a nice transition for me to be able to, get some experience before the coach before they technically joined the staff. So.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, Aaron Blanchard, we in Alaska a bit more about the Superior City FC team that we covered in the summer. But Aaron Blanchard was the coach of them in terms of his regular or most regular gig. He had been a coach at Northland, and Northland's going through not just sporting, but kind of whole institutional struggles, which is a bummer to see. Nice to see someone like Aaron bounce into a program in the area, someone who had UWS connections. So something unique to the Twin Ports, how much there is like a tight-knit community there. But yeah, so talk about last year for people who don't know, we kind of touched on it, but so, and for people to have a context of overall, I think Greg Kane's 30 years has been like a winning percentage of 58% or something. In the 90s, they won a bunch. They won some more titles in the early 2000s. But in the last couple years, it was, so in 2021, you got 12th in the NSIC, which positioning can be granular because it might have been close in points, but still it was a tough year. 9th the year previous to last. So that was where you missed out on the playoffs by like a game, on a point on the last day. So you were right there. And then last year, getting to 8th in the NSIC, having some solid results. So this is a team that's on the come up. And I wonder for you, like when you look back, what were your favorite wins last year?
Yeah. That's a hard one. So, well, let me think here. So with the new rule about how ties are now allowed, there were a lot of ties, and that's why I think the points were super close.
Yeah.
Let me think. I know we beat Northern State early on. It was a non-conference game. Unfortunately, we tied them in the actual NSIC game.
Yeah.
I always love playing Northern State.
Okay.
They're a great competition. Let's see.
I mean, you beat Northern State. I mean, you had Crookston win. There were a lot of ties. I mean, but you beat Southwest Minnesota. You kind of won the games you had to win. And then, I mean, it's hard to pick which one stands out the most. I mean, this is also the one maybe I wanted to know most is what were the losses? This maybe is the same question. I was going to ask who you most want to beat this year, which maybe correlates a little bit to maybe which were the hardest losses last year to take.
Yeah.
Too. I don't know.
So, that hardest loss might be an easier question. So it was our very last game. This one probably doesn't come as a surprise. St. Cloud lost 1-0. It was our first round of the NSIC tournament, which we hadn't been to in a few years. Super close game. It was anyone's game. I think they scored off of a corner early on in the first half, and we hit a couple posts in the second half. We had our opportunities, couldn't put them away, and just making it that far and then not being able to get that final result was a little heartbreaking. But yeah, so that one was definitely hard. Mankato was tough given that, the year prior we tied them, and then going into this game, I think we lost by a few goals. That one was tough because we had, some excitement coming into it, given the last time we had faced them. But yeah, and I guess to answer your question, who am I most looking forward to play and who do I want to beat? Probably St. Cloud. And I think everyone wants to kind of beat St. Cloud right now. They've been doing very well. Right. But to us, ever since my freshman year, they have been our travel partner, our closest competition. We played them so many times. We played them in the spring first scrimmage, non-conference, in conference, in the tournament. So I think that's the team we've seen the most, at least in my career here. And I don't think we've gotten a win out of any of our matchups. So it would be really good to finally last attempt get a win. And like I said, they've been doing well. They moved to the top of the conference very quickly. So I think they have a target on their backs from a lot of teams. So yeah, that would be a team I'm excited to play and hopefully can get a result.
Greta and Jade, I'm writing on the bulletin board right now. Now it's Anna's time to be the bulletin board material. I love it. I can't wait for that matchup. But yeah, I mean, to play them and have be that close. This is, I mean, if you wanted positive spins on how the year ends in terms of motivating you next year, UMD is going for, hopefully you don't need another year like the last two where getting ninth, missing the conference tournament by a point, losing 1-0 so close to the team that had won the tournament. I mean, so yeah, it's easy for you guys to believe you're right there and there's a step up. I did want to ask about Superior City. Like I said, for people who don't know, I'm guessing anyone watching this kind of does know, but not everybody. But they're a UPSL team, which is one of the summer leagues, a newer a league for Minnesota in their second year. And I should say Minnesota and surrounding states because Superior City plays in Wisconsin, obviously. But it's a team that was hyper local to the Twin Ports and its area, only going as far as like Two Harbors or Cloquet. And like for people who are familiar with the area or ESCO, maybe Ashland. And so they're a team that immediately competed though with that talent against people from the Twin Cities. You joined them this year. What do you, now there's some time away. I talked to you after a really tough loss too. Yeah. Now you can reflect on the season because it was overall, I think, a positive thing for you. What did you take away from playing with Superior City this summer?
Yeah. So I think it was one of my most developmental summers when it comes to my soccer skills and all that. And I think it's a great league. We played a lot of players that are in the NSIC and other really strong college divisions or leagues as well. But yeah, I guess my takeaway was we we're a grind of a team. I think, not everyone thought we would make it as far as we did. And so when we did, and I think our last game was close-ish against Aurora. We started off pretty strong. We thought we were in it, and we were close for a while. They ended up pulling away at the end, but I don't think anyone thought we would, be able to face Aurora's team again after the first time we saw them. So yeah, I think Aaron Blanchard, he did a great job leading this team. Obviously he was a new coach to the team. We had a lot of new players, a lot of Superior girls, a lot of UMD girls. So it was fun to kind of see those two local schools mesh. But yeah, overall it was a great way to get prepared for this season.
I wonder how much you had like micro trash talk from teammates who like used to play in Duluth and Cloquet, and like, you're like, I don't know, man, I was in Lakeville, I don't know what these little high school rivalries are.
It is crazy how many, like pretty much everyone was from this Twin Ports area besides me.
Yeah.
And Morgan Eckerly, my teammate, she's also from the cities, and there might have been a couple more, but other than that, it was this local Duluth team, and I'm like, sorry, I'm just a cities girl here.
You got some Duluth teammates, but it's like not the you have more teammates from Lakeville probably than Duluth. There's a bunch of Lakeville girls on your squad.
Yeah, this year especially.
But. Yeah, everywhere. But and then I mean, in terms of UPSL for you, because I think, I mean, like you said, it was your most developmental summer. It's exciting for us. The more and more we talk to players at any level that we're talking to, they just tell us, they hope to play pro soccer. Not everyone wants to, but how did playing in the UPSL against some of these players affect, kind of like you said, it affect your game, but then also your broader vision of the game, like your place in the game?
Yeah. So, it was a great league. We played a whole diverse group of players. So there was one team, Twin Stars specifically, they had some older players and some who played pro overseas. And they were phenomenal. When we heard that we were playing some older players, we were like, okay, we should be able to get them, outrun them, muscle them, whatever. But no, they gave us a game, and I'm sure we lost by a good amount. So and then we'd play, a team that has mostly high schoolers. So there's a big range, but still every single team brought us great competition, which showed me maybe different types of soccer, whether it's you just got to out physically play them, or you got to out think them, you got to out technical skill them. So it was all sorts of different types of soccer, which I think was great to just kind of round me out as a player.
I think it's beneficial to see that we're in this boom time of summer teams and summer leagues as people try to get into the women's game, which is cool. And of course, sometime it'll level out in terms of how many teams we can actually have, but there's more and more every year. One of the things that was cool about UPSL is there are different types. Like you said, like Aurora 2 they also had some players who I think had played fringe pro or were now about to, I interviewed a couple of players who were, in their later 20s, which made me, I thought that was really cool. Almost like an underdog story. And then of course you have a bunch of you have college kids mixing together, and then you have teams that have a lot of academy age players. So nice that players can find their place to where it works for them. But where was your, I mean, I will say this too, in terms of a reference for people, we'll talk a little bit about D1 people more next week, but Matt and I will talk about it. I was watching a game that Anna was playing against NSIC Blast, which by the way, they could have won. There was some referee drama. It was a wild game, but they were a very talented squad, but still Superior City found a way to almost get back into it. And the forward for NSIC, I was like, God, she's really good. Who is that? And it's Barrett Parton, and she's scored like 5 goals for Iowa already this year. So so you face levels. You have high schoolers from ESCO. Shout out to the high schoolers competing with D1 recruits. But now I just want to do a couple other things. I want to ask you a couple questions about Duluth, and then just a couple other soccer related ones, and we'll roll you out. Appreciate the time. Do you have a favorite soccer player?
Yeah, I go back and forth between Mallory Pugh and Mallory Swanson now, and Sophia Smith.
Okay.
Trinity Rodman, even. I think those three are everyone's favorites right now. But I mean, for me as a forward too, I like to watch before my games here. I'll pull up Mallory Swanson highlights, and I'll just watch and visualize, and so I do a lot of switching off between those three.
Yeah, it's a sweet new generation of forwards. Like watching the Olympic, like it's just like, all right, because we keep players around on the team who are really old, and you're like, wow, we have a lot of players who are 35. All of a sudden, the forwards are all 20. Swanson isn't a kid, but still, yeah, that's cool. What's your favorite place to eat in Duluth? It could be Superior too, but and you could list a couple if you need to.
Okay, yeah. So my go-to is sushi.
Okay.
So I like to rotate between. There's 3 different places. Cloud9 is good.
Yeah.
Wasabi, I'd say I'd go there the most. Right now, I think Hanabi might be my favorite there.
Okay.
But if you want all-you-can-eat sushi, go to Wasabi or Cloud9. Those are my favorites. So
recruits, there's still sushi in Duluth.
Don't worry.
There was a while where one of the restaurants up there, I think it was Corktown Deli, was getting oysters daily. And I think it probably didn't work out economically for them. But while they were doing that, I know maybe you shouldn't buy oysters in Minnesota, but guess what? They were saying they were coming every day, and I was a fan. Yeah,
I do like Corktown.
What's your favorite outdoor spot in Duluth to go?
Probably just, so we call it the Rocks. It's not Park Point Beach. It's like the other side of the lake where it's super rocky cliffs, and you can kind of jump in the water there. It's super clean. We just drive down towards the interstate, and we find to park across the interstate, and then we walk through the woods a little bit, and then rocks everywhere. You can tan, you can swim. It's awesome. It's fun.
Yeah, right on. Everyone's got to find I used to live kind of east of downtown, and I would go to the lake and like swim like kind of up like 2 miles up from downtown, because then no one was there, and then people on the train would be like, what the hell is that guy doing swimming? But what's your favorite place to play a game? I mean, other than we know you have a great home. Is it Molosky? Stadium? Yeah. So honestly, it is a really good, very nice stadium. But what's your favorite place you've gotten to, either for a road trip or like for the stadium of it?
Yeah. Well, so Wayne is probably one of my least favorite travel places because it's so far. But once you get there, their field is great. I really like playing on that field. I prefer turf over grass. So sorry, like Cato, Augustana, they have grass. It's not my favorite.
Right. Well, when you're used to it, the vast majority are on turf, right? So it's kind of it is tough to when you're not playing half and half either. It's like really right, like at least 3/4.
Yeah,
like
I think majority would be.
It's only a few teams. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, if not Wayne, then definitely just Concordia, St. Paul, just because my family's there, a lot of friends. We can get a pretty good turnout of fans, so that one's always fun too.
Right on. Also going to Marquette is sweet. Marquette, Michigan is a sweet, like little, just like a little Duluth. That's I love going there.
Yeah.
What about, okay, so we talked about where you eat sushi. I mean, maybe this is the motivation. What local business can we try to spark an NIL partnership for you with, Anna? Who would, it could be that it is money, but also it's like, well, I got free sushi.
Yeah. That's a good question. I would say Wasabi. I actually did a school project on them. We had to make like a marketing plan. So either there or Juice Farm. They have smoothies and all that, super natural.
Where's Juice Farm at?
It's downtown, I think, on like near First Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's small. I didn't used to know it existed, but once I found it, I was like, oh, wait, this place is pretty good. Smoothie bowls, smoothies, all that sort of stuff. Well,
and speaking of which, because the last question, I mean, businesses, Anna, this is something Anna has instinct and training for. You want to do marketing, right?
Yeah, marketing or sales. I think I'm leaning more towards sales right now.
Marketing or sales. This is someone who knows how to help you make sales. Yeah. Very cool. Well, Anna, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm really excited for the NSIC stuff to kick off because it makes it easy for us. I definitely am looking for all the games we can try and get close by at Concordia here, so that they don't have a home game for a few weeks. But that'll make it easier for us to get a few of those in. Thank you so much, Anna. Do you want to share any way for people to engage with you or like follow you throughout the season, social media or otherwise?
Yeah, so you can follow us on Instagram at UMD Soccer. We'll post, where you can watch our live streams, game day reminders, all that sort of thing. And we're also growing our TikTok. That's also UMD Soccer. Feel free to follow us there. We'll be posting some more fun content.
Talk about time on the bus. I get why college athletes, D2 college athletes would use TikTok because nothing but time and there's no room to dance horizontally on the bus. You got it. All you can do is vertical. Thank you so much, Anna. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Thanks for having me.